This is an audio test for Community Access Television Services.
Yep.
Coming to you live from the Monroe County Courthouse at the County Commissioners meeting this Wednesday morning.
Good evening, everyone. I want you to call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. It is Wednesday, June the 14th. We're here in the Nat U Hill Room. I will note for the record that it is hard to see Commissioner Thomas with the sun shining behind her, joining us virtually. And that Commissioner Jones and I are present here in the Nat U Hill Room. So let's start with a Commissioner's public statement read by Commissioner Thomas.
Good morning. We, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, renew our commitment to welcome and protect the rights of all people, regardless of age, race, color, creed, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, economic status, and national origin. And we affirm the right of every person to live peacefully and without fear. And we will fight and resist at every step discrimination and harmful policies, whatever their source. We also stand in support of our public school systems, both RBB and MCCSC.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to department updates. Could we please start with Lori Kelly of the Health Department?
Good morning. Just a few updates for you today. So the FDA recently approved the oral antiviral Paxlovid for treatment of mild to moderate COVID-19 symptoms in adults who are at risk for serious illness. Those seeking this treatment should contact their medical provider. And the Indiana Department of Health is starting its 2023 Smart Start vaccination program. They are doing this by helping to provide extra vaccination clinics starting July 17th. A map will be published on the Indiana Department of Health website to show all the vaccination clinics near those individuals.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments? Commissioner Thomas? Commissioner Jones? No, I don't. Thank you very much for, I think we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Okay, and I see that we have Chief Deputy Parker here. Did you wish to have provide a department update? I hope, now that I've called you
Yes.
up here.
Well, moving up was a sign, I guess. No, thank you for the invite. Just very quickly, we do our little standard update here just to make sure that we're bringing forth what we're doing there. So everybody's clear on what the direction is and being transparent with what we're doing here. So the jail population as of June 13th was 192. So it's holding relatively steadily. The new bookends in the last 48 hours were 17. The releases in that 48 hours was 17. So I think that shows us a pretty good progression of how the courts and the prosecutor were working with getting those people in, getting them processed through the system, and getting them released if applicable. Our misdemeanor charges of folks that are currently in the facility are at 17. I'm sorry, are 27, and our felony charges for residents are 160. And then we have holds, 5 other holds, either parole holds, out of county holds, or DSC holds, 5 inmates. Good news on a certain front here. Our last update, we had what we classify as 43 severely mentally ill residents. That last update, we have dropped that down to 34 now. So we're moving in the right direction. In that the percentages on May 24th was 21% of our population fell into that category. Now we're at 17. So again, I want to reiterate, that is an awful lot of work and communication with the judges, the prosecutor, Jail Commander Gibbons, his staff. So as I expressed before, the more you do something, the better you get at it. And we're really moving in the right direction of that. In the last, since that update, we've moved 2 of those inmates to facilities, mental health facilities, out of the correctional setting where they are now receiving treatment in a facility where they truly need to be. So I think that's going to bring us up to somewhere around 7, 8, 9 that we've done in the last 6 weeks or so.
Right.
So we're very, very upbeat about that. Since January 1, we've had 24 of our residents involved in competency evaluation process. That's kind of the beginning process for what we just talked about. So that's up from 21 from our last update. So we've had 3 of those since May 24th. Our sanitation and refurb, well, we continue on. Block E is now done. We talked about that. I think the last one we were about finishing up. Holding area 2. All the flooring in the first floor is now done and is in a state where it can be easily sanitized daily. And that's a really big deal for us. As we know, that first floor is where everybody comes in. That's where it all starts. So that is all done. Front detox, the floors are all done in there. Rear detox and the processing shower area where we bring the new inmates in to get cleaned up and ready to go into general pop. We'll be talking a little bit more about that in a future meeting. What we have in progress now is block I. So we're in the process, or probably halfway done maybe with that. And then what we're doing, and we're going to make some changes in the first 4 dorms down there to improve how when we bring people in, where we're not setting them in those holding cells for as long. And then we'll use that more as a housing intake before we get them processed. So it's a little more comfortable, I guess, and it's a little more set up as a typical dormitory, if that makes sense to you. All of the clothing that we talked about for all of the inmates now has been completed. So there's all new jumpsuits, the t-shirts, all of those things that we talked about. Those are all in and they have been issued. So if you come into jail right now, you'll see the inmates there. They don't look as disheveled, and they don't look like they're. I would, we laundered those, but it's just like anything else. It has wear and tear. The appearance of that, no matter what you do, can't be improved, and that has an impact on them. I stopped into the ladies' dorm after they got their new issues, and they were all very, very excited about it. They were very, very glad to have new clothing there, that they felt proud that they at least felt like it's clean, but now it looks clean too. So I think that's having a real positive effect on our population. The inmate workers have all been re-outfitted also. So as they go about their daily duties, they're cleaned and looking well. One thing I'm really excited to talk about, and Joe Commander Gibbons could elaborate if need be, but we're starting a inmate worker program for our lady residents, our female residents, which we have not had here before. And what that's going to evolve is we're putting some standing flower planters out in the outdoor rec area. And we're going to, again, it's a voluntary thing, but they'll be able to go out there and it's kind of have like a little gardening project where they can go out there and spend some time out there, be in the outdoors, do something productive. So that we're trying to make sure that what we're doing there in the facility has applicability to all of our residents, not just part of our residents, if that makes sense. So I think that'll be a positive thing, and we'll keep you updated on how that rolls as we go forward. Any questions for me?
Commissioner Thomas, any questions or comments?
No, just thank you for the update. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, I'm particularly pleased to hear about the gardening efforts. I think that's something that can be truly beneficial for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's your hands are busy, you're doing something, it's something productive, and there will be, there'll be an outcome to that effort for them, and that's good for everybody. And that's Kyle's brainchild there, so he's always thinking about something.
Well, it's something for people to take pride in as
Yes.
well,
Yeah,
which is amazing.
It's
But
also a nurturing experience, which is
Yes.
valuable.
Yeah.
And I did know that you'd gotten additional jumpsuits and more paint because it was listed on the claims for this week.
Yes.
So I'm
Yep.
glad that this
Yep.
is moving forward.
well, I figured Commissioner Wood Jones would find particular pleasure in the planners, so we're happy that we're doing it, and we'll keep you posted on it also.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
appreciate it. Are there any other departments with an update? Seeing none, let's move on to public comment. This is for items not on the agenda. And we're limited to 3 minutes per speaker. And if you wish to speak, please identify yourself by name and let us know whether or not you are a Monroe County resident. Seeing none, let's move on to the next item, approval of minutes.
I move approval of the minutes for May 31st, 2023.
Second.
Is there any comments or questions about the minutes? I didn't see any corrections or anything, so I'll ask Mr. Cockrell to call the roll, please.
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved 3-0.
Thank you. Next item, please.
I move approval of the claims docket, accounts payable June 14th, 2023, and payroll June 16th, 2023.
Second.
And we have Carly here again to talk to us about it.
The accounts payable claims docket for June 14th, 2023 totals $2,394,158.01. The payroll docket for June 16th, 2023 includes $1,333,892.49 in direct costs and $403,465.65 in indirect costs for a grand total of $1,737,358.14.
Questions or comments, Commissioner Thomas,
No, thank you.
Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
I will note that there was a large transfer of money that was included in the claims docket this month, right? It's fairly large anyway.
Yes.
Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Cockrell, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved 3-0.
Thank you. I will note for the record that we do not have any reports this particular week, so let's move on to new business. First item.
I move approval of an agreement with Riverway Plumbing and Mechanical, fund name 2018 GO Bond, fund number 4811, in the amount of $13,847.
Second.
And we have Mr. Kreider here to talk with us about it.
Good morning, Commissioners. Richard Kreider, Fleet and Facilities. This request is to approve the quote submitted by Riverway Plumbing and Mechanical in the amount of $13,847 to replace System 3, which heats and cools the atrium at the Curry Building. The current equipment is outdated, in need of extensive repair, and can no longer provide cooling. The scope of work includes removal of the existing heat pump system and installation of a new 5-ton American Standard 3-phase heat pump with matching indoor air handler and heat kit. Any questions?
Commissioner Thomas.
No, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you. And I assume that this will also include good air filtration that kind of matches what we've been looking at with COVID.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Good. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Cockrell, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
I move approval of matrix integration for the installation of Ethernet cable at the Showers Building. The fund name, fund number is to be determined, the amount of $5,436.82.
Second.
And we have Mr. Crone here to talk with us about this. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Greg Cron, Technical Services Department. This one's pretty straightforward. Surveyor's office is looking to relocate from its current office space in the attic of the health building over to suite 205 and 206, of the Showers Building. That space has been always been leased space for entities outside of Monroe County government, so it does not possess any of the network infrastructure tied back to the county network that the surveyor will need. So this request is to approve the proposal put in by Matrix Solutions to run 20 or 10 pairs of Ethernet cables and data jacks and everything in order to get that office space set up.
Very good. Commissioner Thomas, questions or comments?
Thank you for working on this.
Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
I must say, I'm surprised that with everything else you have going on, that you had time to take care of this. So thank you. But
Appreciate that.
also the surveyor's office does a lot of GIS work, which means that they need very good connectivity. So
Yes, and this space is way more conducive to what they have. So it's going to be a great move for the surveyors and everything too. So I'm glad to see this happen for them.
agreed. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Cockrell.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes,
Commissioner Jones,
Yes,
motion is approved 3-0.
Thank you, Mr. Crowe.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
I move approval of the updated personnel policy handbook.
second.
And we have Ms. Sensenstein here with us.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is the approval of the updated personnel policy, which includes language in section 5 related to our new time and attendance software. So we updated the language on flex time and rounding of time cards. This did go to the Board of Judges and the prosecutor, and they approved the changes as well.
Questions or comments? Commissioner Thomas?
No,
No, it did clarify things quite a bit. Thank you.
And for anyone that is interested, this is in our packet, so people can review it as well. I'm glad that we got the one typo corrected.
Yeah, I did. I corrected that and sent it to the legal department. So in the final version, that should be updated.
Thank you.
Yeah, just a duplication of some language.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm the official proofer for the county. or
Yeah, we
something.
we appreciate it. You catch a lot of things for sure.
Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Cocker, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
yes,
Commissioner Jones,
Yes,
motion is approved 3-0.
Thank you for all your work on this.
No problem.
Next item, please.
I move approval of Power DMS Policy Management Software, fund name Cumulative Capital Development Fund, fund number 1138 in the amount of $24,825.
second.
And we have Mr. Barker back with us.
Thank you. I'll try to be brief on this. We've had Lexable Policy Management for a few years now, and I didn't come up here to say anything bad about that. I just want to come up here and kind of talk about our philosophy here. The first item is that Power DMS is going to be just about $7,700 cheaper in the 2-year period as Lexipol is. But the bigger issue is that Lexipol has 4 different manuals for our folks to maneuver, 2 in the jail, 2 in the field, a policy manual, a procedure manual. And it gets quite confusing for them. On the jail side, it's almost 700 pages. And on the field side, it's just over 1,000. So what we want to do is, and I've talked to the officers and the deputies, and they do have trouble keeping up with that. That's a lot of information to process. So what we want to do is adapt that more towards our agency. These policies are Lexipol kind of sells them on a national level, and it's kind of a one size fits all. But as we go through the culture change that we're trying to implement, particularly in the jail, we feel it's going to be better for us to adapt those to how we specifically want to operate our facility, tie that very directly with the Indiana jail standards. There's 20 jail standards. So those will all be incorporated very specifically and very pointedly into those policies for the jail. And then we'll have some things of how we operate in the jail, and the same thing on the field side. So, sometimes I have a tendency to get in the giggle weeds on stuff. So that's just kind of the brief overview of what this request is about, if that's sufficient.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Any questions?
Yes, I just have one question about Lexapro and whether or not there's any sort of penalty for canceling the contract, if there's any money coming back, what the situation is with that, please.
Thank you for the question. The Lexipol contract ends August 5th. So it's our intention to make this coincide with that. So the answer is no, they will terminate and start on the same day.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes, if I remember correctly, Lexipol included a kind of short required training session as each officer clocked in for the day.
Mhm.
Will that be the same with this one?
Yes, there'll be a training module attached to this also. And that's one great thing about the way Lexipol does do their business, that they require these updates. Now, I will tell you, sometimes they got a little bit burdensome. And so what we want to do too is on those updates, we want to make those meaningful so that when something goes out, you guys know that it's important as opposed to just checking a box.
I was going to ask also, I know that were frequent updates with Lexipol. So
Yes.
this will be the same, that it'll stay on top of any changes.
Absolutely. You know, if you put in a new policy or change of policy, you must make sure that your personnel are aware of those changes and what their requirements are as regard to those changes. So yes, that will continue with Power EMS. This is the same system the Indiana State Police uses, by the way. So, you know, it's pretty bulletproof.
Does it track whether or not somebody has actually at least clicked on?
Mhm.
But,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
great. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Cockrell, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes,
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved 3-0.
Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Thank you. And just a real quick, I want to thank Jeff, kind of helped me maneuver through this. He's been very, very helpful to me as kind of guiding me through this process. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next item, please.
I move approval of a WorldPay US LLC service agreement.
Second.
And we have Recorder Swain here to talk with us.
Yes, thank you. This agreement with WorldPay USA Inc. will enable the Recorder's Office to accept credit cards for payments in a way that integrates directly with our CRS software that we use in the Recorder's Office, the Assessor's Office, and the Auditor's Office. So it's a seamless integration. There's no cost to the county for this service, and fees will be paid by the customer. We were unable to take credit card payments for a period of time that lasted a little more than a year in 21 and 22. Last fall, you approved us doing a month-to-month agreement with a different vendor that was a standalone and was not integrated. We did this, we asked for this because we knew that CSI, our software provider, was working on this integrated solution, but we didn't want to wait for that. So we can terminate our current contract with PayGov and go directly into this at the appropriate time if you are agreeable.
Right. Commissioner Thomas.
I appreciate the integration. That makes a lot more sense. Thank you.
Yeah, this does make sense, and I'm sure customers will appreciate it a whole lot also.
Well, and I know from paying property taxes that it tells me up front that there's going to be a charge if I use a credit card. So this is not something that people kind of stumble into. It's right there.
Right. And they still have the option to pay with cash or check.
Right. Right. Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none, Mr. Cockrell, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes,
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next item.
I move approval of ordinance 2023-20, the starts rezone.
Second.
And we have Ms. Crecilius here from the Planning Department.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you very much. I wanted to check with you. I was just looking online at our participants, and I don't see my petitioners here online. And I spoke with Tammy Bierman, who's there in the courthouse, and she says she's not sure if my petitioners are there. So I'd like to ask, would you like me to continue with the presentation, or should I try to coordinate with them? I'm unsure what their status is.
Is this something that you would prefer to table to a following week then?
If they're not there in person, yes, I'm concerned why they wouldn't attend.
Is there anyone here that's here for the rezone? I don't think so.
I will move to continue this item to our June 21st meeting.
Second.
Is there any public comment on the tabling? Seeing none, Mr. Cockrell, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion to continue this to the 21st is approved 3-0.
And we'll
Thank
see you
you.
next week.
I
Okay.
apologize.
Oh, I don't think this was anything you had any control over. Appreciate it. Thank you. Let's move on to appointments.
I'm going to roll two appointments into one here. The first is to nominate Dr. Michelle Herman to the Board of Health with a term that runs through the end of this month, June 30th, 2023. And I'd also like to appoint Commissioner Githens to serve as Monroe County's representative to the City of Bloomington's Walnut College Avenue Corridor Study.
Second.
Thank you very much. I would point out that one of the things that is necessary with the Board of Health is that the state legislation has changed. And so we have to make adjustments beginning July the 1st. And Dr. Herman is aware of that and has still graciously agreed to be appointed. So I very much appreciate her willingness to work with us that way. She's an anesthesiologist here in town with many years of experience and has a background in public health. So I think she'll be a very nice addition. Is there any, I'm sorry, I'm taking the floor here. Commissioner Thomas, any comments on this?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Jones? No, I didn't. Is there any public comment on any of these?
I would just know we typically do not take.
Oh, okay,
comment on
thank you.
appointments.
Wasn't sure about that. Okay, then would you go ahead and call the roll?
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved 3-0.
I do have several announcements today. Today is the last day that people can apply for assistance from FEMA. And this is available to Monroe County residents who were impacted by the heavy storm and tornado that touched down here a few months ago. There's free COVID testing available still through the Monroe County Health Department, as well as at the Monroe County Public Health Clinic on East Miller Drive. We are still accepting applications for some boards and commissions. You can go to co.monroe.in.us for more information. We also, the commissioners have virtual office hours. I had one on Monday and actually had 2 people show up, which was a shock to me. But it's a good time to reach out to us individually. They are private conversations. We don't record them. And if you get on the Monroe County calendar, you'll see when those virtual office hours are available. We have blood drives going on at Ivy Tech. There's one today. It starts at 1 p.m., run through 6. And there's one Friday from 10 till 3. Again, Thursday, July 13th from 1 to 6, and Friday, July 14th from 10 to 3. Again, those are at Ivy Tech. You can sign up for the Monroe County Alert Notification Systems. This is for weather and health related issues. And again, same website. And we will remind you that the Board of Commissioners and the County Council have made additional monies available we've extended the assistance fund for county residents who need assistance with paying for rent or utilities. You can contact your township trustee for further information. I also wanted to let people know that there are now, you can apply for solar energy grants through Indiana Solar for All. And this is for income qualified households that pay for their system through sweat equity volunteer hours. And you can apply online. Can get more information at insfa.org/participant. And I encourage anybody who can to do that. We are in a climate crisis, and this is one of the ways to help push back on that. If you need more information, I'll leave that with our receptionist if you need to call in. Also, at last week's Hoosier Hills Food Bank Fresh Friday food distribution, families were asking for diapers and for pull-ups for toddlers. This is the 4th year that Hoosier Hills Food Bank has done the drive-through, and it's also the first time that I know of that anyone has requested this kind of assistance. So to help with that, we are starting a diaper drive through the Monroe County Commissioners. We have obtained one of the Hoosier Hills Food Bank barrels. It's in the rotunda. So if you're willing to help, please drop off diapers, pull-ups, and wipes, and we will make that available at the July 14th and August 11th food distributions at Hoosier Hills Food Bank. And this is not to take away from the needs of other organizations, whether it's All Options Pregnancy Resource Center, for New Hope for Families, for Middle Way House, Pantry 279. There are a number of organizations that also need this kind of assistance. But these are truly families in need. And I saw a lot more children coming through with their parents. I saw a lot more elderly this last Friday. And they had anticipated having 800 families that they provided food for, and by the end of the day, it was 920. So the need is still there, and I urge you, again, we're having a diaper drive, diapers, pull-ups, wipes, and it's in the rotunda here in the courthouse if you can help out. Do either of my colleagues have any announcements? If not, we do have a work session, and it is 10:33. What time should we resume for the work session? Or do you want to just continue?
I'm willing to continue.
We do have to pause for cats, so I would say 10:45.
Okay, we will return at 10:45 for our work session. With that, this meeting is adjourned. We will return for the next commissioners meeting on June 21st. Same bad time, same bad place. See you then. So I call to order this work session of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. Again, it's June the 14th, and Commissioner Thomas is joining us virtually, and Commissioner Jones and I are here in the Nat U Hill Room. So I believe the first item on the agenda is Mr. Schilling. Good morning.
Well, thank you. Good morning, Dave Schilling from the Legal Department, presenting for your consideration a release agreement in the Monroe County versus Myers Trust case. That was a zoning and building code enforcement action stemming from the location of a garage within the setback without a building permit. And when we filed this suit, the trust, responded within a day and had been working to get the responsible parties to come in line. And it took about 7 months. So this is the second agreement on the fine. We had an earlier agreement that would have resulted in a much larger fine. But then in light of the cooperation we received from the trust, the Plan Commission Executive Committee considered this and agreed to a lower fine of $10,000 and approved it and signed it. And now we're presenting it to you as one of the parties for your consideration.
Mr. Jones, any comments or questions?
Sounds very reasonable to me.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yeah, thank you. Just to note that the Plan Commission has also approved this document.
Thank you. That was my one question, because I know that they have to sign off on this also. And I want to say thank you to the trust also for actually working with you and with the planning department to make this right.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna make a motion to approve the release by Monroe County, Indiana and the Monroe County Plan Commission related to all claims against Patricia M. Meyer Living Trust under the pending lawsuit filed by Monroe County against Meyer Trust.
Second.
And just one point, could we have the president authorized to sign that on behalf of the county commissioners?
And authorizing the president to sign it on behalf of the county commissioners.
Thank you.
Second.
I don't have any other comments. Does anyone else? Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Cockrell, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved 3-0.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mr.
very
Schilling.
much.
Thank you, Ms. Behrman, for being here. Is there anything else for? Do we have other items for our work session?
I have a couple of things. One is, and I just got this morning and I've gone through it. We have been working on trying to reach an agreement for the acquisition of some property for our Vernal Pike connector project, which will connect Vernal Pike to the roundabout off Profile Parkway. We've been working with two of the landowners, and this is for the Central Supply eminent domain case we have reached. We think we have reached an agreement which is based upon estimates for what they need to do to the property to make their business not affected by our taking, as well as the actual value of the property that we are taking. We have currently with the court in their account have placed a little over $700,000 for both of those things. However, we've looked at the estimates from the business for the corrective work to their property that they had received, and it's about $113,290 more than that. So we think that the agreement should be for a total of $816,040. This is paid out of the West Side TIF fund. Just got this morning, so I don't expect you guys to vote on it, but I am planning on putting it on the agenda for next week. I am not in the office next Wednesday. So if you could, you'll get it. If you have any questions, please ask me Monday or Tuesday of next week so I can answer those. Lisa Ridge should be here next week and she would be able to answer questions related to the project. She's been involved in all the conversations we've had with Yasmin Stump, who is handling this for us. So I just kind of wanted to put that on your radar to let you know if you have any questions, let me know and I'll get those answered. The other thing I wanted to make sure all the commissioners were aware of was Commissioner Githens and I attended the city council's work session on Monday. And the sole topic was a CIB and the interlocal that would be associated with a CIB. This is for the convention center project and getting that moving forward. And you should have all received a copy of the draft interlocal that has been worked on by Councilwoman Wiltz and Councilwoman Scambulary and Commissioner Githens. So we talked about that. There were some comments. We expect the city administration to have formal written comments back to me by the end of the week. And so that's kind of where we're at in the process. I would say that the take I got from the comments from both the city council and the city administration is that they realize that there's some urgency based upon the legislation that has been passed and that they realize that the project has some additional urgency to it. I think Commissioner Githens indicated her hope was that we would get the actual CIB ordinance done yet this month. And then with the thought that we could work out all the interlocal details over the course of the next few months so that, you know, that group could be appointed and then begin work with that interlocal being done. I would say from my point of view, I did not see any red flags. These are issues that are huge and can't get worked out. I think they're going to be on much more of a minute scale. I don't think there was any fundamental issues with how it was written. So I'm just looking forward to seeing the city administration's response.
Comments or questions, Commissioner Jones?
I'll just be happy to see this come to culmination.
Commissioner Thomas?
I just want to thank everybody for their work on this. I think there are still a few issues that remain, and I'm hopeful that we can move past that and get this done sooner rather than later. Thank you.
Well, and it's been my hope that once we appoint the members to the Capital Improvement Board, that they will take over some of the things that were discussed in the past in terms of how large the expansion should be, where things should be located, all those kinds of things. And part of what we're hoping to have in there also is that the city and the county would pledge some of the property that we currently own, and the CIB would then make a determination as to which of those properties would be used for the convention center expansion. Since Monday and talking with different people in the community, especially like with chamber folks, they're very excited about this, and I'm pleased that we can finally get this moving forward again.
And I would just say that the current draft of the interlocal has the CIB going to the city and the county and saying, hey, here are the parcels that we think we need in order to accomplish this. And that's kind of the mechanism. They're not formally pledged in that. And that was some of the conversation we had on Monday is the county going to pledge certain properties? And my response to that is, look, we know what the previous study had said. And so I think to the extent that the property was going to be utilized as part of the previous, I think everybody's aware of that and are ready to go. If there's proper beyond that, then they need to let us know and maybe give a little explanation of, hey, here's why we think it's important to move forward. But I think the core of the expansion, I think, which for the county's perspective is the current facility and the area we own east of the east of the current facility are kind of what we anticipate them absolutely needing. And then there's some, the property west of the Beeline, is that going to be utilized? And the further south you go, how's that going to be utilized? I think pledging is not what's in the interlocal, which is what I was wanting to make
Thank
sure.
you for the correction. Thank you. But again, I'm happy that we can finally move forward on this. We had, when the food and beverage tax was first passed by the council, it was my understanding that both the mayor and the city council agreed to cooperate on getting this expansion done. And so it feels good to, years later, get this moving forward. And we do have to have something to the legislature, I believe it's by December 1st, in terms of plans and showing that we are moving forward to be able to extend the food and beverage tax. So there is some urgency to this. Thank you, Mr. Cockrell. Is there anyone else who has anything for the work session? Ms. Bierman.
Hi. Planning experienced a little bit of technical difficulty with making the deadline yesterday. We had an email bounce back with a large document. I did send you all a link this morning at 8:30 through email with this packet, but it's a rather complex outline plan amendment to the Fieldstone Wiley Farm PUD. And I would like to kind of introduce this to you. I wouldn't be surprised if you would ask this to come back to a second work session. So I mostly would like to ask if you'd want to hear an introduction of it today, or if you want me to wait because it did not officially make the work session agenda packet.
I don't have an opinion on this either way. Commissioner Thomas.
Yeah, I think an introduction would be useful today. I think just to be fair to the public, if you can get it on our work session agenda next week, the public can read the packet in advance as well. And then we'll also have an opportunity to have time to digest a lot of information since we didn't get it in time either. And then we can talk about getting it on our regular agenda.
That sounds good. So I would like to share screen. Okay, so the ordinance will be 2023-21 Fieldstone Wiley Farm Planned Unit Outline Plan Amendment 4 to parcels F, G, and I. This impacts a 30.23 acre parcel in section 2 of Van Buren Township. And the parcel number is here. Oh, give me just a second to rearrange my screen. Okay, so I'm going to kind of flip through the packet just a little bit to get you familiar with it. So this is the location map. Like I said, it's on South Kirby Road, kind of along South Kirby Road area within the Fieldstone subdivision. The airport is just west of here. It is currently zoned a planned unit development at, and then the site conditions are as such where the blue is more considered buildable area. We have this red that's encompassed in here that contains a lot of karst features. And then this is within a critical watershed. So that's also being taken into consideration. With regards to infrastructure, we do have on file a capacity letter for electric and water. However, we do not have a capacity letter for sewer. There's complex reasons why sewer is not available to this site. Then let me jump. Kind of wait for the bells. Okay. This is Exhibit 6, which is the original Fieldstone Wiley Farm PUD ordinance. So this was created in 1994 under the city of Bloomington. So we have inherited this document, and we can authorize things that are in it. And the petitioner is asking to change a few things. A few things to note is it's a large packet, so I'm kind of not wanting to scroll a whole lot. But there is a road design that was kind of incorporated into this PUD. There are density allowances for the various tracks throughout this petition site. And we're kind of dealing with a bit of a fuzzy document at times. So this is one of the items that came into play with regards to how a road network would kind of run through this area. And we did some geoprocessing to kind of do some analysis on this. Also within this PUD are open space requirements and a little bit of detail about the traffic and circulation. And so this outline plan amendment is going to get into amending the traffic configuration and circulation, also the open space and the density, and is proposing to add a use to this PUD to a specific section. So let's see. So the petitioner submitted a letter kind of describing what this is Exhibit 1. So they're kind of mostly interested in adding a use to the property, most specifically, I believe Tract F, to add convenience storage. Convenience storage is a commercial use. It does not require a connection to sewer. This would be in addition to a very small section, I shouldn't say small, 3.34 acres, to an area that by right was allowed to have multifamily residential. Currently, the site cannot develop as multifamily residential due to the sewer complexities of the area. Also, the traffic configurations are requested in here, and open space reduction. The reason for the open space reduction is it will allow for the road connectivity to avoid karst features, which I'll get into in a moment here. Let me go to page 5. So the drainage board, I think this went twice. Briefly, it was introduced early on, and then April 5th, the drainage board saw this petition because it's in a critical watershed, because there are karst features, and it has the potential to develop quite a bit currently with a large multifamily project. They wanted to add some conditions to this project, and I can mention those a little bit later on, but just know that the MS4 coordinator and drainage board have reviewed this outline plan amendment. On page 51, we have an exhibit, which is from Hydrogeology Incorporated. This is a karst report, a geotechnical report that's I think it's like 30 some pages long. And page 62 of this, I'll just sort of highlight a couple of items out of it. So they did locate a lot of karst features that are within this parcel. And they also, I think it was up above, identified this area of this paleo limestone that seems to be susceptible to karst features and such. And so, the MS4 coordinator and drainage board were able to review this document when they were making their recommendations. So I'm going to skip to Exhibit 3, which I did not put has a page number. Just a moment and let me try to scan for that one. I thought I was organized, but I skipped this. That's the ordinance. Okay. So here is kind of what has been evolving as it has proceeded through these meetings. This portion up here is about 3.34 acres. And the original proposal was to add convenience storage to this parcel, which is really slated for multifamily residential use. And we are also, the petitioner is also showing some of this road configuration and connectivity points that avoid a lot of the karst features that have been overlaid onto this as a result of the hydrogeological incorporated report. Also grayed out here are slopes that are greater than 15%, which planning considers not buildable. So they've been trying to work with the comments that they've received throughout these meetings to come up with this kind of a plan. Down here on the south part of the parcel, this would be single family residential. And again, these are more smaller sized single family residential lots. And these are all within parcels F, G, and I of that original ordinance. So let me jump to, let's see. Another part of the ordinance or this packet. So currently, I think this is good to highlight, currently permitted on tracts F, G, and I. And F is the most northern portion where they're wanting to do convenience storage. Tract G is in the middle and I is that southern part. Currently, if sewer were available, someone could come in and put 184 multifamily units. Tract G could have 56 units and tract I 42 units. The developer was, we realized that with adding convenience storage to this petition or to this PUD, you would be taking away that option of having some housing. So they went through and recalculated density at the request of, I think it was the Plan Review Committee, and came up with these proposed densities. And then we asked them to demonstrate that, which was the site plan you saw just recently. So that's, should sewer become available and this outline plan adopted, that would be the density that you would see for that area rather than what is currently permitted, which is significantly higher. Let's see. We did have, as a part of a requirement for submitting an outline plan amendment, you are required to reach out to any HOA within the area and notify them of the changes that are happening. And so the petitioner did hold a meeting June 18th with a neighborhood association for Fieldstone Community Association. I don't think it was well advertised. They also missed another HOA that was within there. So there was a second meeting in Exhibit 5 that was held May the 3rd. And they list a few people that did attend this meeting as well. What you don't see in the Plan Commission staff report is any remonstrance. This is the only public thing that you're going to see. However, at the Plan Commission, we did show 2 letters of remonstrance. One of those was from the airport, because this is fairly close to the airport sensitivity noise zone, but not within it. And then I will say that there were, I think, about 4 or 5 members from the public that came out and spoke against it. One of those was Fieldstone HOA president. And though planning staff has not seen it, they did make mention that they had a petition signed by about 200 people against adding convenience storage to this site. So hopefully when this does come to a formal session, we will see and hear from the public about the use that's being proposed. And maybe see that petition as well, because we haven't seen that yet. But I thought it was worth mentioning here. The Plan Commission heard this formally on March 21st, and then we paused so that we could have that additional HOA meeting and get the feedback from the public through that. And then heard it again on May 16th. And so that was a bit of a long meeting that Julie might recall. So this is the certification, and planning staff has supported some of the petitioner's request, but not all of it. And so we had broken it up into 3 different parts, and we had 3 separate votes on these parts. And so for what we called petition PUO-22-2 outline plan amendment, the Plan Commission made a positive recommendation to approve the reconfiguration of the proposed road and the removal of part of the buffer yard open space of the Fieldstone Wiley Farm PUD. And this was with 5 conditions that are spelled out here. One was to have an alternative connection to bedrock that avoids a sinkhole conservancy area. One was to revise and the proposed impervious cover percentages to discount the road for residential areas. It was subject to the Drainage Board comments and compliance with the stormwater drainage ordinance. The petitioner was supposed to propose language regarding the timing and extent of the road network build out in coordination with timing of the proposed future residential development. So we would expect to see that in the final draft of this ordinance. Should these amendments be approved, we would ask them to rewrite the ordinance and incorporate these items. And then the petitioner to amend roadway design to require cul-de-sacs instead of stubs at the streets, because we never know if these roads are going to continue on or not. So a cul-de-sac makes it easier for fire, delivery trucks, things like that to turn around. We prefer not to see stubs in planning. So that was something that was supported with those conditions. Then we had a series of failed motions. We had, after a lot of feedback and discussion with the applicant and hearing from the public, there were motions to approve, motions to deny, to send positive and negative recommendations. In this instance, the Plan Commission made no recommendation to amend the housing densities of tracts F, G, and I of the Fieldstone Farm. So if you think back to that table where I showed what's currently allowed for density versus what's proposed, there's no recommendation as to which way that would go. Then they also made no recommendation to add convenient storage as a permitted use to the 3.4 acres of tract F of the Fieldstone Wiley Farm PUD. And I think how this really kind of came into play was like, if they couldn't get the convenient storage, then they still wanted to have that opportunity in the future to have those higher densities for residential. And so it was kind of if we can't get it, then we want to not have that decreased residential density. So where I get into a bit of a conundrum, and I spoke with Dave Schilling yesterday, this is maybe the first petition that I've brought to you that I don't have a draft ordinance before you to review. Reason being is that I didn't know which way you will want to go with this. I could draft it as such that it really reflects only the positive thing that came through, and we could, draft it that way, or there could be a second alternative draft that could incorporate convenient storage with that residential density, or there could be a third option of yes to the roads, no to the, or yes to adding the convenient or not adding convenient storage, but still having that reduced density. So this is why I wanted to get this in front of you, to kind of give you a chance to read through this packet and maybe come back for a second work session so that I would know how to draft an ordinance to bring before you. I don't know if Dave Schilling has anything to add with regards to like an ordinance coming before you and how to, if that can be drafted during the meeting or after you hear from the public. But yeah, it's an interesting scenario here with having no recommendation from the Plan Commission. What kind of questions do you have?
Commissioner Jones.
At the moment, I think I need a chance to look this over a bit more thoroughly.
Commissioner Thomas, I believe you've heard some of this before because you sit on the Plan Commission.
I've heard this extensively. I think it would be useful for my colleagues to have the opportunity to read the packet. Now they've had a really good introduction, and thank you for that, Ms. Bierman. And perhaps at the work session, we can talk through the drafting of that language a bit, and then have it on our regular agenda where it may have to be revised again after we hear from the public, but at least we'd have something to start with. And I think sitting together during a work session, we could probably achieve that that draft.
Okay, so because I'm not as familiar with the planning issues and terminology as my colleagues, on your conditions, item number 2, where you say petitioner to revise proposed impervious cover percentage to discount the road for the residential areas. What does it mean to discount the road?
I think that's a great question. And I feel like it more stems from one of the drainage board comments about, like, because this is a critical watershed, they have higher standards. I think they want to kind of include that road system with, like, looking into, that's a great question. And I can get some clarity on that from, I will come back with a better, clear answer from our MS4 coordinator as to what exactly, if that needs to be reworded in such a way, and confirm the wording of it.
Appreciate that. Also, I mean, this actually information on the Mr. Jenner's desires was in the local paper a few weeks ago. And what I didn't understand from what you presented today was whether or not sections G and I also do not have sewer, or if they do have sewer hookup.
Currently, sewer is not being expanded for residential purposes into the county. Unless it's near the Ellettsville area or someone is creating their own system.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions right now, but yeah, it looks like a dense 86 pages to get through.
Sorry. Aaron Miles.
So we will see you next week with this then at our
I
work
think
session.
so. Yes,
Okay.
I'll be back next week, and I'll make sure we don't have a technical difficulty that doesn't go through this time. So
Appreciate that.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any items for the work session? I can't see if there's anyone online. Oh, thank you. I don't see anyone. So with that, I will adjourn this work session, and we'll be back next week. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Commissioner Thomas, for joining us virtually.
Thank you for accommodating me. I really appreciate it, and I apologize. Thank you.
Looks like you're in a great place. Looks beautiful.
It is nice. It's a little chilly, but it's nice.
Thank you, TSD. Thank you, Katz.